What's up, everybody? It's Glenn and Big Jack back with another best bets of the NFL weekend video, Week 7 edition. Um, Coming off a little bit different weeks. I went 3-0. Jack went 0-3. Season records get to 11-7 for me and 6-11-1 for Jack. Jack, the squares and the public won a lot of money last week. How you feeling after a rough week for yourself? You feeling sharp, or you feeling? How you feeling?
Hey man, at the end of the day, winners are winners and losers are losers. I went 0-3, so I'm certainly a loser with that 6-11-1 overall record to this point. It's nothing short of pitiful, but yeah, to your point, the way that it was one of the biggest losers on record in Vegas since the early 2000s. I think it was the biggest loser in history since the mobile books opened. So in general, off of 0-3 week, a lot of times you're kind of, questioning just about everything you got going. But given where the public money was and the sharp money was, and how those things tend to typically skew one way versus the other over time, I'm not horribly upset about it or like really questioning everything that I take into consideration. But 0-3 is 0-3, and that was tough. But God bless you, man. You're absolutely rolling this year at 11-7. You just got to keep doing your thing, keep the pedal down.
Amen, brother. And that's what I fully intend on doing this week. Build on that undefeated week last week. But really, I feel like I had three really good picks. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into my first pick of the week. One team I've been really down on this year, despite I would say the general public being really high on, is the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're not as good as a lot of people think they are. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home, plus a 3.5 versus the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens defense is not what it was last year, especially against the pass. I like the Buccaneers to be able to throw it wherever and to whoever they want all game. I like the Bucks to win outright. I'll take the 3.5 points at home versus the Ravens. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is more of an indictment on the Ravens passing defense, and I think the Buccaneers defense will be able to do enough to keep the Ravens offense from exploding. Buccaneers plus 3.5. Buccaneers potentially outright, but Buccaneers plus 3.5.
Nice. That's a Monday nighter, right?
It's a Monday night football game. There's two Monday night games. It's one of them.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's interesting. You've been, consistent with your opinion on the Ravens, even ahead of the season. You kind of talked about it when we did a little bit of a preview, saying how you thought that your kind of bold shot was that they might be a team who sort of falls back and potentially misses the postseason altogether. There still gets so much love
Yeah,
from odds makers. I heard some banter this week that they said on a neutral site that the Ravens would still be favored against anybody else in the NFL right now,
that's
including the
crazy.
Chiefs, which I don't know. I don't know if I go as far as you with how, you're sort of down on their, even their playoff hopes, but I don't see it with them this year. Lamar Jackson's been making some, wow plays as he's prone to do, but he doesn't seem to be as solid as he was last year, certainly, and that defense is just totally different. Maybe they figure it out. Maybe they get it going. Maybe it's just a little early season regression. A little hangover type thing when you're one of those teams that is a perennial contender. But yeah, I got nothing against that pick. I was on the Saints last week and watched what that Bucks offense did to them in the second half of that game in particular. They're sort of rolling a little bit. I like them catching points as well. I got no negative thoughts on that play. My first one, I'm going to jump into it with the Giants. I'm going to take them plus 3.5. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think the Eagles got a lot of inner fighting going on. It seems like they're not on the same page internally. You got a lot of stuff going on with the coach getting into it with their own fans. It's just a bizarre. I think there's a little too much of a lack of focus on what's going on the football field in Philadelphia right now. I like, the Giants up and down. They got embarrassed by Minnesota, and then they've been relatively competitive otherwise. I don't know. I think Dayball is a solid coach. I think he's made the most of the situation that he's been presented with. I think they'll come in with a solid game plan, knowing that divisional opponent. Saquon Barkley is going to come back into the building hungry. That's for sure. Wouldn't be surprised to see maybe hit a couple of his overs. I'm sure he'll be running hard as ever. But I don't know. I think the Giants keep it tight. Wouldn't be surprised if they win outright. Malik Neighbors coming out of concussion protocol. I think he's a big part of the offense. I think they'll keep that ball moving a little bit better with him back in the lineup. And that defense is just stout. They really are. I think they get after Jalen Hurts a little bit, maybe force him into some costly turnovers and get it done 3.5 at home. I'll take the Giants.
So nobody at home could see this, but I have 4 plays that I'm trying to decide between for my third pick, and that's one of them. And I would be on the Giants. I would not be on the Eagles. So I love this play. I think I'm going to let you have it, and I'm going to go in another direction. I like where your head's
Yeah,
at.
I certainly wouldn't go about
It's
tailing you
got
right now. So
it's
that's
got
good.
nothing to do with telling you or not telling you, but I like that it's already going to be in the parlay. I'm gonna let you have that one. I like where your head's at. I just don't think the Eagles are quite what they've been in the past too. I like the Giants to keep that close, keep it competitive. Maybe even get a win themselves. Divisional game gonna be tight. I like where your head's at. My second pick, I'm going back to Monday night. I'm going back to a team that I think I bet on last week. I'm going to go to the LA Chargers again. I'm going to take them -2.5 at Arizona. Just think they have a pretty solid defense, a pretty solid team against Arizona, who I think their defense is not very good. Arizona can be explosive at times. I think Harbaugh will have that team ready to defend that Arizona offense, and I like the Chargers to go in there, cover that 2.5 point spread, win that game by at least a field goal. Chargers -2.5. That's my second pick of the week.
I think that's a good one too, especially like you said, the way that the Cardinals have kind of been up and down this year. Kyler Murray's got it in him from time to time. He's going to make some big time plays that potentially flip a game, but they're just not that great of a team overall. And yeah, I think Harbaugh. The only thing that worries me, it puts any hesitation in my mind with that game, is that I think Harbaugh is just the type of coach who he's so methodical that they're never really going to extend a game. Even that game against the Broncos, you thought they were really about to blow the brakes off him. Ended up kind of tightening up down the
Sure.
stretch. He's just one of those coaches who he knows how to win football games and he doesn't care about anything else. So, I just wonder if maybe you get in one of those situations where the game plan gets in the way of a cover. But yeah, I like that pick in general.
Yep.
My next pick of the week, I'm going to go back to the well on a game I was on last week. I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers on the road. They're getting 8 against the Washington Commanders. There's a weird, maybe not weird, but one of the crazier trends going on in the NFL this year is week after week, these like the biggest dogs are not only covering, but they're winning outright a lot of these games. I don't know. I watched Carolina last week. I was on them. Ended up being a loser down the stretch against Atlanta, but they were right there. They were driving Andy Dalton through just kind of a brutal interception. You don't, maybe there's a little bit of banter that the wide receiver should have flattened out the route as opposed to going a little more upfield where the defender was able to cut underneath them. But it was a costly interception when they were driving. And they very well could have not only covered that game, but potentially won if that play just goes the other way. And I mean, I know that's the NFL. It's one play here, one play there. That's the difference. But I liked what I saw from the way that offense was competing. Defense leaves plenty to be desired. I think Atlanta is a pretty high-powered offense, but I don't know. People are high on the Commanders. I think as now we're getting a little more film on Jaden Daniels. He's been incredible. Not gonna say anything negative about the way he's playing, but I think you get more film on those new rookie type quarterbacks. Maybe you learn one or two things that you can sort of try to take away from them, and hopefully that impacts the game and what he's able to do out there. It's just a big number. And I don't think the Commanders are the type of team who should ever be given 8 points. That's kind of, when you want to put it in the simplest terms. So I'll take the Panthers +8.
So the viewers at home can't tell this, but I have 4 games written down that I've tried to choose from, and this is one of them. And I would have been on Carolina as well. I like all your thought processes on it. We seem to be seeing a lot of the same things this week. 2 of the 4 games I am deciding between are your first 2 picks, the Giants and the Panthers. I'm gonna let you have those. There's 2 games left. I have the pick from. Um, One of them, I think I might be blinded by what I saw out of the Bears last week, and it would be me picking against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm going to go to the other game, and I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings -1.5 at home versus the Detroit Lions. Detroit blows out Dallas last week. They've looked really good in recent weeks, but this Minnesota team is tough, man. They're really well coached. They have a really good defense and a really good defensive coordinator. Divisional game. They're going to be doing everything they can to keep this streak going. This win streak they got going. They're going to do everything they can to keep it going. I think Minnesota does enough to fluster Jared Goff, maybe create a few turnovers, and finds a way to win this game. I'm going to go the Minnesota Vikings -1.5 versus the Detroit Lions.
Love it. I don't have 4 games written down. I'm locked into 3, and that's one of them, baby. I'm on
Oh,
the
hell yeah.
Vikings. I'm on the Vikings -1.5 as well. I like the game a lot. I think it's a very attractive line to bettors to take who the majority of people probably deem to be the better team, getting points in the Detroit Lions. But Detroit's banged up. They just lost their best defensive player. I think Detroit has 15 or 14 sacks on the season. Aiden Hutchinson had 7.5 of them. He was on pace for Defensive Player of the Year. That's a huge blow. Big time pass rusher, big time effort guy who just, he's pretty similar to I hate to go this type of comparison just because it's like lumping in the white guys. But I feel like he's big, like Max Crosby type. Max Crosby's probably a little bit better, but they seem to have both have extremely high motors where they're just always going full throttle, balls to the wall every play, even when they aren't getting those impact sacks. They're getting pressures. They're making things happen out there. They're attracting multiple double teams and all that good stuff. I think it's just a big blow for them. I'm not sure how they sort of replace that, and their defense hasn't been all too great this year anyways. And I don't know. I like the Vikings out of the bye. I think Kevin O'Connell's a good coach. I think they'll have a good game plan at home. They've had the extra week to prepare. Where I know the Detroit Lions just went and blew the brakes off of the Cowboys, but that was a big game, before before it happened. So they had a lot of energy put into that and everything they got going to this point in the season. I love the Vikings. I think sucks as a Bears fan that they seem to be as good as they are, but I think that record is pretty legit, and they have been handling people at home in their building. I mean, I think to that Houston game, I want to say they won 34-7, just absolutely demolished a Houston team who that's their only loss of the year. They beat the 49ers in that building. I don't know. I think Minnesota's got a lot of good things going on. I think they find a way to get it done on Sunday and stay atop the division.
Yeah, man, it's kind of crazy. So, real quick, I had 4 games written down. I was trying to choose between Giants, Carolina, New England, and Minnesota. 3 of the 4 are your 3 picks. Just a quick recap. My picks are the Chargers -2.5, the Bucks +3.5, and the Vikings -1.5. Jack is also on the Vikings -1.5. He is on the Giants +3.5 and the Carolina Panthers +8. I mean, I picked all the games this week basically, so I like our odds going 6-0. I fucking love it. I'll put them in a parlay, see what happens. Maybe I'll get frisky, throw the Patriots in there too. Maybe a little round robin action. Who knows? But for all you at home, enjoy yourselves. Like and subscribe if you're new. Jack, hit it for
them. Bears.
Bears. And we'll be back with a Bears post Jaguars bully beatdown video too. Peace.